Hello and welcome to the Happy Families podcast. Sometimes the conversations that we have change lives. Sometimes they save lives. Today, for our I'll Do Better Tomorrow edition of the Happy Families pod, we step into a conversation that Kylie had that literally saved a life. That and more next. This is the Happy Families podcast. G'day, welcome to our Friday edition where we step into the week that was. We talk about the stuff that worked, the stuff that didn't. We call it I'll Do Better Tomorrow. Our goal is to help you and us to do better tomorrow because, let's face it, sometimes parenting feels like a kind of steep climb. I'm Dr. Justin Coulson. I'm here with my wife, Mrs. Happy Families, Kylie. Kylie, we're going to get to yours in just a sec.
You say it's a steep climb, but sometimes I feel like I'm either being literally catapulted across a valley or I am plummeting to the lowest low.
Being dragged under.
And dragged under, yes.
Well, I had a bit of both over the last week.
Well, I did too. It's our family, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I was part of this.
You were. I'm sorry for not including you in the we had a bit of both. So I would love to share one of the hardest things that we've been through recently. It's just too personal and it deals with the story of one of our children. So it's not really our story as much as it's theirs, but we've had some challenges, as every family does. But I do want to share another story. Incidentally, the principle behind both of these stories is exactly the same. One of our teenagers came to us and told us that she had a goal. She is tired of feeling the way that she feels. She's tired of, it's a body image issue, right? So she said, I want to lose X number of kilos and I need to do it by blah. Is this realistic? Is it doable? And we worked out some maths, did a little bit of sort of calculating and we thought, yeah, it is doable, but it might be pushing it. Let's slow it down a little bit. Let's push it out a little bit longer. So she was okay with that. But then we had a really important conversation. I said, tell me more about why this is important to you. And we got into the nitty gritty of the identity challenges, the self-esteem issues. And then I asked about the specific number. Why is this number important? And I couldn't get a good answer out of her about that. Let's say, for example, it was, 70 kilos. Couldn't get a clear answer as to why 70 kilos was the number that she had to be touching. I said, even if you do get there, are you going to be happy then? And she said, well, I don't know. I just think that's what I need to be. And I'm like, so you don't actually know how you'll feel when you get there and you don't actually know if that's the right number. And she said, yeah. I said, okay, so I'm really curious about this. This is a get curious, not furious moment. This is an understand, don't reprimand moment. But let's unpack this a little bit further. And so we talked more about the self-esteem issues. We talked more about why it was important that she got there and started to really isolate, okay, this is a goal, but it's not a very well thought through goal because there are so many unknowns. And then I highlighted the following. Whether you're talking about a relationship, or your personal growth and development, your spiritual growth and development, whether you're talking about your physical health. These are the kinds of things that don't actually have an end point. Like you wake up tomorrow and you're still in that relationship, so you've got to put the effort in again. And having a goal, I want to have a quote unquote happy marriage. Well, that's kind of nebulous. It doesn't really work because how do you know that you're happy? And what if you wanted to be happier? And what if you have an argument or somebody's tired or dinner's not on the table or the house is a mess? What does that do to your relationship? And so I said to her, when it comes to weight, it's the same. How will you know if you're quote unquote happy? Hitting that number isn't going to do it for you. At which point she felt completely confused and lost and a little bit deflated, which was not my intention. And so I said to her, what matters is not a specific goal, but instead creating a lifestyle, creating a habit, creating a way of being. At which she raised her eyebrows, got curious and said, I have no idea what you're talking about. And so we talked about what people who have bodies that feel strong and healthy do versus people with bodies that don't feel strong and healthy. Totally different. Not about the numbers. Not even about the appearance. It's about what they're doing to make their bodies look and feel strong and healthy.
And what's really curious to me is that she started to put that into action. And over the last few days, she's started riding a bike with us.
20 Ks a day. It's a small number, but it's a start.
And the other morning, it was windy and we couldn't go for a ride. she was sluggish. She was actually a little bit cranky.
Yeah.
And she really struggled to get through her day.
Just a rough day.
Whereas the mornings where she knows we're riding, she does. She jumps out of bed.
I was going to say she bounds out of bed. She puts on the lycra and she's like, let's go.
And there's energy to her that we haven't seen in a really long time.
Yeah.
And so she finished off her activity for the morning and she looked at me and she said, oh, this is just such a waste of time. And I said,
oh, yeah, because she hadn't gone for a ride that day. She was in a low mood.
Yeah, and I was like, what's going on? Did something happen at class? And she's like, no. And I said, tell me more about this. And she couldn't tell me anything. And finally I said, I find it curious. I said, every morning you've ridden, I said, you've really enjoyed yourself.
Yeah.
And I said, but today, the one morning you're not riding is different. And I said, I think your body's really enjoying moving your body and receiving those beautiful happy hormones, those endorphins that just fill you with delight and joy. And it's giving you the capacity to get through the day with a bounce in your step.
So there are a couple of things that I want to pop in here as a take-home message. The first is that exercise is not actually known as a happiness booster, but what it does do is it reduces depression and anxiety symptoms. So people think that exercise makes you happy, and it does. It gives you a little bit of a boost, but what it does more than anything is it pushes away the negative, the low mood. And I think that that's a really important distinction, but also it's a really big win, because if you want to feel good in your body and look good in your body, exercising will help you to just feel good as a result of taking away those negative elements emotionally. But secondly, it's worth highlighting resilience is relational. If she wasn't riding with us, she wouldn't ride at all.
Oh, no. There's no way.
That's not going to happen. But
she actually loves the fact, because she's on my bike.
Yes.
She loves riding away from me and leaving me for dead.
She thinks it's the best. She loves the competitive element and the feeling of competence. There's that basic psychological need again. She's choosing to do it. So I'm choosing to do this thing. I'm doing a pretty decent job of it, and I'm doing it with people that I love.
I'm smashing mum.
Yeah,
that's definitely on her list.
So that's my I'll do better tomorrow. Sit down with the kids and have conversations with them about why it matters, what it really means, and how to become the person who does it rather than try to hit some goal. Because once you hit the goal, you relax and you stop doing it again. After the break, Mrs. Happy Families saves someone's life. More next. You're back. It's the Happy Families podcast. Okay, Kylie, let's hear how you have literally changed a family, changed a life.
I feel really uncomfortable with that intro.
It's true. You did it.
Conversation. From time to time, I get invited to go and speak at an event, and
you do such a great job. I love hearing you speak.
I really enjoy it. At this particular event, I caught up with a mum afterwards, and she was reveling in the things that I shared and had a really, really strong opinion about some of the messages that I promoted.
She thought you were awesome.
She did think I was awesome. I thought she was pretty awesome too. But as part of that conversation, she shared a bit about what was going on in her family. She's a single mum with a young teenage daughter, and doing it on her own. Like, that's hard. That's hard. I often feel like I'm doing it on my own because you're not here, physically here, but I've always got you on the line, right? You're always...
And I'm coming back in a couple of days.
Yes. For me, the physical stuff is draining, but it's the emotional stress that you get put under on a day-to-day basis as you try to carry your own weight, your own emotional weight, but that of your offsprings as well. And in our case, that's times 6, right? And then you put a grandbaby and son-in-law and it just grows.
Yeah.
And it's such a privilege, but it's also, it also can feel very burdensome. So I love that she is doing so much good in her sphere. But as part of our conversation, she shared just some of the struggles that her daughter was having. She wasn't doing really well at school, really struggling with her friendship groups. And so I just shared a bit about the decisions we had made in relation to our children. And I didn't think anything of it. That was the end of the conversation. We've had nothing to do with each other for more than 6 months. And out of the blue, I received a handwritten letter this week which has just touched me to the core. And in that, she just shared that it was because of the conversation we had that she started, I guess, exploring a little bit more and getting more curious with her daughter, and came to realize that she had attempted to take her life multiple times in the last 12 months, and that she was beyond miserable. She really just didn't want to be here. And one of the main things that stood out to her from our conversation was that we had wrestled with this idea of keeping our children in the school system, believing that convention suggests this is the best place for them to learn, and recognizing very quickly, or very slowly, whichever way you want to look at it, that it actually wasn't for our kids. And choosing to go quite unconventional in so many ways and pull one of them out to homeschool, and then choosing a very different structured learning system for our 15-year-old has made such a difference to our family.
Yeah, so we're not sponsored, and we don't get anything for saying it. But number one, we've loved homeschooling the youngest, and number two, the industry school. While every school has its challenges, the industry school is a Southeast Queensland school, but they're opening some other campuses around the country. I was having a chat with the principal of the local one here, and he's heading off to Melbourne soon. Amazing experience that our children have had as a result of what this school does.
And so, if I was to kind of round out this whole thinking process that's going through my mind at the moment. So often as parents, we make decisions and we think we're trapped by those decisions. I've put my child into the best school in the neighbourhood.
Literally.
Therefore, there is nowhere else for me to go. Where do you go once you've had the best?
Yeah, like if they can't help me, who can?
But the good news story is you get to choose, right? You actually get to choose. So if something's not working, then what's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over and over again, but expecting a different result. I think it was Einstein who said that.
I think so often we get trapped in that, right? We just keep doing the same thing, hoping and praying that it's going to get better. But in this situation, this mum, based on our conversation, she decided to do something quite radical, and she pulled her daughter out of her very, very expensive private school, and she kept looking until she found a fit for her daughter. And she managed to find a really, really niche little school that deals specifically with some of the challenges that her daughter has been dealing with. And I just feel so grateful for an opportunity to connect with somebody and share just a little bit of our story and unintentionally make a massive difference in their lives.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm listening to what you're saying. And number one, you've had the conversation, which gives the parent the courage to have a chat with their daughter, only to find out that things are far worse than they thought, that there are literally the worst things that you can imagine going on in her life, and she's now got to confront that and respond to it. So that's the first thing that you've done, potentially, possibly, almost certainly actually saved a life here. But secondly, you've given this mum the courage to say, okay, so this very expensive option that we would consider to be the premium platinum as good as it gets option is not really working, and we need to rewrite the rules of the game. We need to come up with a new game to play. And she had the courage to do that. And so many people won't. Like, there's that fixed view, I have to do this because it's the best, and if this doesn't work, nothing else will. It's not true. It's not true. And she's discovered that. And now, based on the letter that you received, this handwritten letter, I love that, mum and child are both doing way, way, way better. I
think she's being very generous in suggesting that I have done anything to
help. No, but that conversation you had does help, right? That's why. But
ultimately, it comes down to you being able to act. When things aren't working right, the only way we change it is by acting.
Yeah.
Right? We actually have to act. We can have all the good conversations in the world, but unless we take courage and act, nothing changes.
But it's still easier to act. I said it in my older better tomorrow. Resilience is relational. It's easier to act when you've got somebody at your side saying, "You got this. I believe in you. Let's try this." I mean, and that's what you've done. Such an important thing, and I hope that this gives parents who are struggling the courage to push ahead, especially when there are so many people who are really genuinely struggling with so many things. The Happy Families podcast will be back on Monday. Thanks so much for listening. We love that you join us every week, and we can't wait to share more once the weekend is done. Have a great weekend. Thanks so much to Justin Rulon from Bridge Media, who produces the podcast, and Mem Hammonds, who provides admin support. For more info and resources, check out happyfamilies.com.au, including our ADHD for Parents course.